This is my little Christmas Nutcracker Automata toy. He's quite fun to make. You can either copy my design exactly, or once you know how the mechanism works, you could go rogue and design something else. In the video description, there's a link which will take you to a Google document which you can save to your computer or just print directly, which will give you this exact design. So you can either, like I say, make this one, or you could trace it and paint and colour your own version. Might be quite fun to do with children over Christmas. And then when you know how the mechanism works, you could have a go at designing one of your own. I've done drawings for a Father Christmas and a fairy as well, but I haven't got around to making those yet. So let's get started. So this is what you're going to need. You're going to need to have printed off or have drawn your own version of the Nutcracker with all his different limbs and parts. Some scissors are useful, a scalpel, I can't remember what size blade I've got in there, 10A, but yeah, nice sharp blade. Some things for making holes. So I've got this sharp pointy tool, which is quite useful for the little holes. And then this is for punching holes in leather, but it also works on paper, and you can twist this so you get all different sizes. Some Pritt stick, some string, an old cork from a wine bottle, a stronger glue for gluing your cork in place when the time comes. These little paper fasteners, I think they're called paper fastener split pins maybe, but a selection of those. And then I'm going to cut mine out and I'm going to stick it onto some thicker card to make it a bit more robust. So I've just got scraps of mount board that I keep, but you could use maybe cardboard from a cereal packet or something like that. Always nice to recycle things. Oh, and a cutting mat, because you don't want to cut into your tabletop. So I'm going to start just by roughly cutting out my shapes and sticking them onto my card. With the Pritt stick, use a scrap piece just so I don't get glue all over my worktop. Make sure you've covered it well with glue. So I'm going to go around and do that with all of the bits. So everything's now stuck down onto the boards. You don't have to stick them down onto the boards, I just think it makes them a bit sturdier, and that extra bit of weight means it's more likely that the mechanism will work, that its legs will kind of drop, arms and legs will drop back into place again. So I'm just going to go round and cut all the bits out, which is the most laborious bit of the whole process. Obviously the thicker your card is, the harder this is going to be, and this is quite a thick card, so this is going to take me a little while. Well, my fingers now ache from doing that, but we don't need that bit for the moment, so we can put him to one side. And we're going to punch the holes where I've put the guides. So we've got bigger holes and then we've got smaller holes. I've twisted mine to a size that I think is about right. And push it in. And then because my card is really thick, I have to kind of give mine a twizzle. And you want the hole to be big enough that the split pin can go through, but it won't go all the way through, but it's got plenty of room to be sort of loose so it can rotate easily. So oh, going to need a new arm. I've cut out a new arm and I'll be a bit more careful with this one. And then the smaller holes, these ones, if you're using thinner card, you could probably just poke something through and work it to make it bigger, but it just has to be big enough for your string to go through, because these little holes are where we're going to tie the string. So I'm going to alter my hole punchy thing. It's a technical term. So I've got a smaller, which is the smallest, I'm not sure. Let's go for that one. And punch some smaller holes in here. Right, now we can start putting it together. So I'm going to turn that over, and you need 4 of your paper fastener split pins. And you can put them on underneath like that. And then pop your legs in place. And your arms. I'm going to just fasten these in place because we want them in place so we know how long our string needs to be. But you want them to be able to rotate, so you don't want to open your split pins and just squash them flat, because then your arms won't move. So what I do is just take a needle or a pointy tool and place it, sort of open your pins a bit and then place it just above your card and then just press the top over, so, and the same on that side. So it's still able to move freely. And now we're going to tie a piece of string across there and a piece of string across there, and then one piece of string which joins them and hangs down. So this is the bit that I find really quite fiddly. So I'm just going to cut a piece of string a bit longer than I need. Just suck the end so we can thread it through. tie that in a secure knot. Now, from my practice runs, believe it or not, looking at this, I have actually practiced this, you want it kind of on this side, the knot on this side. You don't want it over there because it's going to pull down that way, like that. And then you just I'm going to have to undo that. That's much easier. And then put it back in place to tie it. So I want the arms down like that. Okay, and then we're going to do the same for the legs. Just make sure that your split pins are back in place if you do take them off, which I think is definitely an easier way of doing it. And again, you don't want to tie it so tight that the legs are splayed out like that. You want your legs to be able to drop back down so that they're straight. And then I'm going to cut off my excess string. Now we want a piece of string that comes all the way down to make our pull as well. And I better not get this wrong because I'm going to run out. So you want to tie it in the middle of each piece of string like that. So now if we pull, his arms should go up. Actually, I'm going to do that in a double knot, just to make sure it doesn't come undone. It is a bit fiddly, this, but again, you want that knot in the middle. Hopefully that will work. And then you need to test it. Yay, that should work. Now we want to stick the front on, but we don't want to stick it onto this because otherwise our mechanism isn't going to have room to move, which is where the cork comes in. So I'm going to slice a bit of cork off and stick it on here so that this piece is raised up from the backing. So your cork just needs to be higher than the height of your, squash that down, height of your board and your pins. I'm not very good at cutting it straight, so I'm just going to draw a kind of rough guide. And then taking my scalpel and just cut it. I wouldn't try and cut all the way through. I'd sort of work your way around like that. Hope I've done this thick enough. Let me just check and see if I put that on there. Does he still work? He does. I think to be on the safe side, I'm going to do another one and just go a bit thicker. A serrated kitchen knife would probably do this quite well. Might be a bit easier than the scalpel. And I'm going to chop it in half. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stick 2 on there, and then I'm going to cut another one to stick on there. Right, so I'm going to cut that last bit in half. And I'm going to stick that one on there. I'm just going to place them on just to make sure. Lift it up and have a look sideways to make sure that it will all stick down. Mine are different thicknesses, so I'm just going to thin that top one out a bit. I think that will work. So I'm going to take my stronger glue. The one I'm using is called Speed Bond, which I got from our local modelling shop. And I'm going to stick these bottom ones down first of all. And let those dry a bit. And I'm going to cut off that extra bit of string there as well. And I'm also going to thread a string through that top bit to hang it from while those are drying. Again, so I'm going to put some glue on these, on the top there. And then taking the top section, making sure that the shoulder bits and the hips line up, place it on top, push it down, and then I'm just going to find a nice heavy book to sit on top of it. Pop that on there and leave that to dry. So there we go. I hope you've managed to make your Nutcracker pull toy and that you've enjoyed it. If you want to share with me what you've made, I'd love to see it. It makes me really happy when I feel like I've maybe inspired someone to do something creative. Best place to do that would be on Instagram. I'm Theodora.Gould on Instagram. And if you want to know next time I upload a tutorial or a video to YouTube, then do click the subscribe button. Lastly, have a wonderful Christmas.